Hello and welcome to our review of Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas 2 for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. As the sequel to one of the more popular games from 2006, Rainbow Six Vegas 2 has a lot to live up to. And when you first turn it on, you'll immediately realize that this game looks and plays exactly like the first Rainbow Six Vegas did. And that seems to be the MO for most Tom Clancy games. It seems like they give it a really good concept like Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter or Rainbow Six Vegas or even Splinter Cell, and just kind of drive that idea almost into the ground. They take the formula, and instead of really improving on it over the years, they basically just put out almost episodes more than actual sequels. This game could pretty much be an expansion pack for the first game. Granted, it is a full-length game, but there really isn't much new to the game that really warrants it to be a true sequel. I'd say the biggest feature, at least to the single-player mode, is the ability to level up your character. And this is done through completing tasks and basically just killing bad guys. You'll get 5 points if you kill them, 3 points if your team kills them, and extra points for headshots and stuff like that. And this allows you to unlock new armor and weapons. And it's kind of a cool feature, but it doesn't really add much to the single-player experience. And I'd say the biggest problem with it is the guns that you can unlock a lot of times are even dropped by bad guys, so you can use them before you technically unlock them, making the system kind of worthless. I'd say my favorite new feature in the game is the ability to run between covers, something that was sorely lacking in the last game, and this really helps, obviously, to get from cover to cover and avoid gunfire. Other than those two things, pretty much everything from the first game remains the same. The graphics haven't gotten that much of an update. If anything, I felt that this game performed a little worse than the first game for some reason. I got some slowdown in some levels. But overall, it's a pretty good frame rate, and the Unreal Engine still looks good to this day, and they use it well. I just wish they, maybe would have added a little more pizzazz to the levels or whatnot. And one cool thing, I guess, or one different thing that distinguishes this from the previous game is they kind of took it away from all the casino levels. There's a couple times when we'll be in the casinos, but most of the time is spent on other parts of the Vegas area, like the convention center, or there's like a gymnasium that you need to go into and stuff. And that makes the game feel different from the first game. Although when you're playing the game, it's still the same type of controls and everything. So you're not gonna, like I said before, it feels more like an expansion pack than an actual new sequel to the game. And the story is pretty similar to the first game too, which I guess makes sense because the first game kind of ended in a quasi-cliffhanger or whatever. And that's both good and bad, I mean, at this point, these games have gotten a little convoluted in the whole terrorist trying to blow up everything plot, but it still makes for a decent experience. And they use it pretty well and have some actually pretty cool moments in the game that will kind of shock you, or if not shock you, maybe surprise you. Now, I feel like I'm pointing out all the bad things about this game, but I mean, it's still a pretty solid game. It's definitely the best tactical shooter that you can play on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. It's very different pace. It's not the typical first-person shooter, and it's a lot of fun in that respect. If you like the first Rainbow Six Vegas, you're gonna definitely like this one because, like I said before, it plays exactly like the first one. And that also means that some of the problems that were inherent in the first game also make the change over to this game. And I'd say my number one complaint that I had with the first game is still very much an issue here, and that is the wildly erratic AI. And that is more having to do with the bad guys being very dual-natured. Either they're dumb as rocks or they're superhuman soldiers who can shoot you from across the map in one shot. And it pretty much varies from place to place. Sometimes you'll shoot a bad guy and the guy next to him won't even notice that he's dead. And there's other times where you won't even see the bad guy and you'll just get headshotted, and that's the end for you. And the checkpoints are kind of spaced pretty far apart, so if this happens, it's kind of annoying, and there's definitely some cheap moments in the game, at least I felt so. And this mostly rears its head when you're forced to ditch your squad at a later portion in the game and just kind of go it alone. When you have your squad, you can pretty much send them ahead, and they're actually pretty good at taking care of the enemies. They'll go ahead, and they have this superhuman ability to see bad guys from anywhere, so they'll clear a path for you pretty well. But when you're forced to do it yourself, that's when you really realize how good of aim most of these bad guys have. And the game can also be played co-op over Xbox Live and the PlayStation Network, and that is a great way to experience the story mode. And overall, I would say that Rainbow Six Vegas 2 is a really good game. It's just not quite the sequel I was hoping for from the first game, which I thought was one of the best games of the past 2 years. It's more of an add-on pack than a sequel, and as long as your expectations are that, you won't be disappointed. So thanks for watching Video Game Central's review of Rainbow Six Vegas 2. Make sure to click the link to the right for more information about this game and other games like it.